Good evening, everyone. Jai Hind, and welcome to another edition of National Security Live. I'm your host, and today we are going to discuss one of the most important internal security challenges of independent India, and that independent India has ever faced. That is left-wing extremism. We popularly, it is also known as Naxalite movement, or maybe Maoist movement. So let me tell you the objective of today's lecture is to understand the phenomenon of Naxalism, or understand the phenomenon of Maoist movement, and to look through the lens of academic activities, or look through the academic lens, through the lens of national security, through the lens of public administration, policing, intelligence, maybe that of governance, and also from the lens of constitutional democracy. Before beginning to the session, I would like to request our viewers kindly to switch to 1.5x for better experience. So let's begin. Let's begin with our lectures. So for nearly actually 5 decades, left-wing extremism, or as we call it in government as LWE, it affected large parts of India. At its peak, it actually influenced more than 200 districts across the country, like thousands of civilians, maybe thousands of police personnel from Central Armed Police Forces, particularly CRPF. And even insurgents also, and civilians also, they lost their lives. There were roads which couldn't be built in many areas without armed protection, schools, mobile towers, even railway lines, and other types of public infrastructure which also become target of such violence. This challenge was actually so serious that in around 2006, then Prime Minister was Dr. Manmohan Singh. He actually described left-wing extremism as one of India's most significant internal security threat. Dr. Manmohan Singh actually described left-wing extremism, or LWE, as India's most significant internal security threat. But as you see, today the picture has actually changed dramatically. The number of affected districts in today's date, in 2026, and even the incidents, it has fallen sharply to almost nil compared to the peak years. From, as our honorable Home Minister has declared, that from 31st March of 2026, Naxalism has actually disappeared. So it is actually because of various sustained security cooperations about for various government initiatives, for development efforts, both by the Union Ministry and also by various state governments. The story of this transmission, or this transformation, it actually offers important lessons for every student of national security, and for everyone who is interested in national security, or even in internal security, how Naxalism has evolved and how it is contained in at present date. So to understand that story, we have to go to the roots of Naxalism. So before we go to Naxalism, go to its prehistory, that is before Naxalbari. Let's go to the seed of this insurgency. Actually, to understand LWE, or left-wing extremism, we must travel back before 1967. Actually, 1967 was the year when Naxalism began, but let's go before that. When India got independence in 1947, but many rural and tribal regions of India was in very deep socio-economic inequality. the inequalities actually remained there even after independence. Large land holding was there, poverty was there, various disputes over land rights was there, and weak access to government services, which actually created grievances in several areas. So before the Naxalbari movement of 1967, India actually witnessed one armed struggle in between 1946 and 1951 that we can term as Telangana armed struggle. So before the Naxalbari movement, what come which is related to this left-wing extremism is Telangana armed struggle. It was in Hyderabad region, and although different in context, it actually reflected an agrarian discontent, and actually it influenced various later revolutionary thinking. International development also mattered in this case. The ideological split was there in between Soviet Union and even in between Soviet Union and USA. Also in ideological split was there in between Soviet Union and that of China, which these two divisions in between Soviet Union and China, their ideological division also divided communist movement around the world. Many revolutionaries actually who was inspired by Chinese leader Mao Zedong. His theory, like he theorized for a protracted people's war, which actually argued that armed struggle which could begin in rural areas and it can gradually surround into urban centers or into urban areas. It can actually in some time it can cover the whole country. It was the protracted people's war idea of Mao Zedong. In India, some communist leaders, they also believed that parliamentary democracy was not the right path. They thought that armed rebellion was actually necessary, and such ideological disagreement eventually shaped the emergence of what we today know as Naxalite movement. So now, as we come from the Telangana armed struggle and around that area in between 1946 and 1951, let's move ahead with our main theme, that is the Naxalbari Uprising. It was in 1967 and is regarded as the birth of modern Naxalite movement. The village was actually called Naxalbari. It was a village in Darjeeling district of West Bengal. Three main names actually closely associated with Naxalbari movement. One is Saru Majumdar. He is the principal ideologue of this movement. One is Kanu Sanyal. He is also an important organizer and leader. He was actually an important organizer and leader. Another was Jangal Santhal. He was also a key grassroots mobilizer among various local communities. In May 1967, there was a conflict over land rights and agricultural issues, which escalated into violence. During police action, several villagers, including women and children, were killed. A lot more policemen also killed there. The incident actually became a rallying point for a wider revolutionary movement, and this gave birth to what we call as Naxalism, or as it come from that Naxalbari village, we also know the movement as Naxalism, and the people associated with it we name as Naxalite. So why was Naxalbari so important? Because because it transformed a local agrarian dispute into a nationwide ideological moment. The slogan actually shifted from demanding reforms to advocating an armed rebellion or an armed revolution inspired by thoughts of Mao Zedong or Maoist thoughts. From national security point of view, we can think we can view it as how local grievances can evolve into prolonged or protracted security challenge when combined with ideology and combined with various organizations and definitely weak state presence. Now let's move to the formation of Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist. Let's move to the CPI, Marxist-Leninist ideology. After 1967, it comes 1969 when the Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist or CPI-ML, it was formed under the leadership of Saru Majumdar. The objective of CPI-ML was to overthrow the existing political order through armed struggle. But this movement soon faced intense pressure from law and order. It faced very much pressure from police, from law enforcement agencies. In 1972, Saru Majumdar, he was actually died in police custody after being arrested in Kolkata. Death of Saru Majumdar, it actually marked the decline of the first phase of Naxalite movement. But it didn't end the ideology. The movement died, the armed struggle died, the first movement died, but it didn't end the ideology. Instead, the movement actually fragmented. It fragmented into multiple factions across different states. So now we are moving to a very important line, that is the rise of Red Corridor. Why Red Corridor? Actually, I am today wearing the red framed glasses to represent a Red Corridor or represent this movement. Actually, just a metaphor, nothing else. So let's move to the rise of Red Corridor. During 1980s and 1990s, the Naxalite movement it re-emerged. It was a bit down after the 1972 death of Saru Majumdar, but in 1980s and 1990s it re-emerged in more organized form. Two organizations they become especially more influential. One is People's Work Group or PWG, another is Maoist Communist Center or MCC. People's Work Group PWG was founded in 1980 by Kondavali Sitharamaiah. It's important, okay? People Work Group or PWG was founded in 1980 by Kondavali Sitharamaiah, okay? And the next Maoist Communist Center, which also developed separately in the state of Bihar. So these two groups, PWG and MCC, these two groups actually expanded into forested and tribal regions where governance was often very weak and development indicators lagged behind the national averages. Okay, so it expanded into vulnerable areas. The areas that come or which later became known as Red Corridor, it included parts of West Bengal, parts of Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, even parts of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Maharashtra, also various parts of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh in different period of time. So this area beginning from West Bengal to Telangana, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh, the central area, this corridor was actually with a very dense forest. it was very difficult terrain and limited infrastructure, which made these regions actually challenging for law enforcement and challenging for security forces to administer, or even for local administrations to govern such areas. It was not so easy from law and order's point of view. So as the law, as the this red corridor emerged, we have learned about what is red corridor and how it has emerged from 1980s to 1990s. Let's come to 2000s. There was a major turning point in 2000s, or in 2004, but actually in September 2004, when these two groups, People's War Groups, which was founded by Sitaramaya, and Maoist Communist Center from Bihar, they both merged together. People's War Group and MCC, that is Maoist Communist Center, both merged, and it became Communist Party of India Maoist, or CPI Maoist. This both group merged and become a single organizational identity, that is Communist Party of India Maoist. This merger actually it created a more unified insurgent organization with central leadership, with structured leadership and coordinated strategy. From national security perspective, this merger increased the challenge, because it brought together various cadres, resources, and operational experiences of various groups from different regions together under a single command and coordination structure of Communist Party of India Maoist. At the same time, it was also prompted the government of India and affected states. They strengthened coordinations among police forces. All the states have coordinated among themselves. Intelligence agencies also coordinated, and central security forces, particularly CRPF, or Central Reserved Police Force, it was deployed there. And the coordination among forces and law and order in between states are very much important, including coordination of intelligence and central security agencies. So this is what so far we have learned about Naxalite movement, like from 1946 to 1951. It was known as Telangana Armed Struggle, which actually highlighted an agrarian unrest. And in 1967, these all Telangana and that agrarian unrest actually evolved in a Naxalbari area, as we now know them as Naxalbari Uprising of West Bengal in Darjeeling district, led by Saru Majumdar. In 1969, the CPI, that is Communist Party of India Marxist-Leninist, it was formed by Saru Majumdar. And in 1972, the death of Saru Majumdar, it weakened the first phase of Naxalite movement. However, in 1980s and 1990s, this emerged and it led to the emergence of Red Corridor. So in 1980, People's War Group established, and then MCC was established. And later on in 2000s, both these groups, that is PWG or People's War Group and MCC, both the groups came together and formed CPI, that is Communist Party of India Marxist, through a merger. So far, what we have learned, that we actually understood how a local uprising could evolve into a nationwide emergency. We have seen how from 1947 to 51 and formally the 1967 Naxalbari Uprising, and how it become in 2000s, particularly after 2004, how it has become a national emergency and internal security problem. Now there are some certain questions like how this movement sustained itself for decades. Yes, this is a movement. I am not going to say to their ideology good, bad, anything. No, even though I am looking it from national security point of view, no, I am not going to comment on that. But I am going to question how this movement actually sustained itself for decades. Let's say it began from Naxalbari, okay, 1967, and the peak come after 2004. So how these 30 years, within these 30 or 40 years, in 4 decades, how it is sustaining itself, how it is continuing itself with such operational capability for decades. Who were its leaders? As Saru Mojumdar and Sanyal, they passed away. Who were its new leaders? Why did it spread from West Bengal, and how it spreads through red corridors to other central part or even towards southern part of India? What were its modus operandi or methods of operations? And how did the Indian state actually or eventually reverse the tide? What was the ways of Indian security forces and government also did operation in various stages, and how this led to the limitation of this moment, how Indian forces ended this moment. So we will explore these questions on next part of our this lecture on national security live lectures. So today we have learned a lot, and in the next lecture we will learn about the rise and decline again of left-wing extremism. We will learn about expansion, we will know about leadership, we will know about funding and India's counterinsurgency strategy. Okay, so till then, goodbye. And if you like our video, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with anyone who is interested in national security, in counterterrorism and internal security. Jai Hind, goodbye, Bande Mataram.